Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my August 2022 wrap up. August, if you weren't familiar, is a time when I do something on my channel called Subscriber Month. And this is just a chance for my subscribers to tell me what they want me to read through the whole month of August. Basically, my subscribers pick my TBR. And because throughout this whole year I've been a mood reader, this has been the only month when I've actually had a written TBR. Usually I have a bit of paper that I write down all the books I read as I finish them. For example, this is September's list, but in August it was the first time I actually had a written list, and these were all books that were suggested to me by my subscribers. So I had really no control over what they actually chose, or what genres they chose, or what authors they chose books by. So it was kind of restricted. I felt restricted in that sense, but I enjoyed what I read. So I didn't read everything that I wanted to, but I read most of it. At a glance, I would probably guess that I read about 2/3 of the things I set my mind to. So there are two things I didn't actually touch in August, but I am going to do my best to get to them by the end of the year. And they are Faces in the Window, which is a author request book. I am in fact planning to get to this one this month, so I'm excited to do that. It's a horror novel, so yeah, always excited to read more horror stuff. And the second thing I didn't get round to reading is Upgrade by Blake Crouch. Although I do tell a lie, I did read the first page just to get a feel of the writing style, and it was good for a first page, but yeah, didn't end up reading that book. But I am intrigued to see what I make of Blake Crouch's work and writing style, as he does get a load of praise for his work. So Upgrade is another book that I didn't manage to pick up at all. I had two DNFs. Yeah, two. One that I fully intend to get back to, and one that I never intend to pick up ever again. So because I'm in a fairly negative mood today, no, I'm only kidding guys, I'm going to start off with a book that I have no intention to ever pick up again. And that is Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. This was recommended to me by Kayla Lenzen, and this is a horror science fiction story. I knew the basic plot of it going into it, but I knew as well that it was kind of a mixed bag for some people. But with that said, I went into it with an open mind and I wanted to give it a fair shot. I listened to it on audio on YouTube, and I got through about 2 hours of it, and I decided to DNF it because I didn't care about any of the characters. Yes, the atmosphere was kind of spooky. The concept of them finding a abandoned ship out in space that was designed as a cruise liner was really interesting, but nothing that I haven't come across before. For a book that I was 2 hours into, I wanted some scares and I didn't get any scares, and I felt it took them ages to get onto the ship when they found it. So I just thought, okay, I'm not enjoying this, so I'm going to DNF it. And yeah, it wasn't for me. If you like this book, that's great, but it just wasn't my thing. And the second thing that I DNF'd, which I fully intend to get back to, is Dracula, of course, by Bram Stoker. I am going to be doing this as hopefully a buddy read with Marissa Bailey, as we are planning to read this throughout October. The reason why I DNF'd this book is because I think I was listening to it on audio. I do have it on my Kindle. In fact, I have two versions of it on my Kindle for some reason. But I listened to it on audio. And I think that was a mistake, because audiobooks for me don't really go well. I like to read them at my own pace. If I want to reread a certain section, I can easily do it if I'm reading a physical copy or a book on my Kindle. And with an audiobook, you're not really doing that. That is taken away from you. I did enjoy what I read so far, or listened to it rather. Although Dracula the vampire wasn't really the main focus, the characters were the main focus, and he was like lurking in the shadows, which is fair enough. But I cannot wait to get back to this book, as I'm excited to do it. And when I do, I will be reading it on my Kindle. So let's get to the things that I actually read. First off, let's get the Grimm fairy tales out of the way. I managed to read two. One which is called The Three Languages, which I did a whole video for. And that one I rated a 3 stars. Can't remember much about that. I do remember it being about a individual that could speak to like 3 species of animals. But apart from that, I can't remember much about it. And I also read Fumbling, which I read in August, but I didn't do a video on it because I felt swamped. So I reread it for this month, and it's about, basically it's like Tom Thumb. It is Tom Thumb, you know, this little, you know, man that goes on these adventures and tricks people. And yeah, it was okay. I rated that one also a 3 stars. Next I read was Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. This was absolutely freaking fantastic. Oh my god. If you like fantasy or grimdark, then I would definitely recommend this. I did this as a buddy read with Chris from Chris Reviews. This is book 1 in the Bloodsworn saga. I don't think it'll be a trilogy. But yeah, this was absolutely amazing. It really was. I won't say anything about it because I'm going to be saving all that lovely goodness for my video when I'll be talking about this in more detail. But yeah, if you've heard any hype about this, any hype that you've heard about this book, believe every single word, believe every single syllable. This was amazing. Yes, it wasn't 100% perfect, but I enjoyed reading every single page of this book. So I can't possibly rate it any lower than a 5 stars. Next I read was the manga called The Flowers of Evil by Shuzo Oshimi. This is the first completed book with the first 3 volumes in it. This was recommended to me by Numeria, and I have to be honest guys, I read this at the end of July, just on the edge of August, because I ran out of stuff to read, and I read this in about 2 or 3 days. It was incredible, it really was. It's more of a coming of age / thriller / drama book. It's not really easy to classify this under one specific genre, but this was amazing. It really was. The characters in it were so incredible. I never felt so many emotions while reading a manga or any book. So I have rated this also a 5 stars. I will probably read the other books. Not sure when. I want to read some other stuff in my room before I continue with this series, but yeah, I'm going to be excited to see where this goes. Next thing that I read was Beacon 23 by Hugh Howey. This is a sci-fi book, and I read this on my Kindle. This was recommended to me by Alfredo, and this is basically like The Martian, but with this man in this like space station floating in space. Not sure where else a space station would be, but his job is basically to keep a lookout and to report anything that he finds and sees to NASA, and he also is a port to any other ships that come and want to dock and rest and regroup and refuel. This focuses a lot around isolation. He slowly becomes unhinged. He's not completely batshit insane, but he is getting there. But this was a real pleasant book to read. This book did remind me that I do need to read more science fiction, and more importantly, it reminded me about how much I do enjoy science fiction. I rated this a 3.5 stars. The reason why I didn't rate it higher is because the ending was a bit too open-ended. I wanted to have a bit more of a conclusion. Yes, it could have had a bit of mystery about it, but I wanted to have a bit more, conclusion to it, a more solid conclusion. But definitely recommend it, and I cannot wait to read more from this author. Also, I forgot to mention as well, when I read The Flowers of Evil, the character in this, the main character, has a poetry collection called also The Flowers of Evil by a real-life Frenchman called Charles Baudelaire. I read this because the main character in this book is always carrying it around with him and singing its praises. So I thought I would find the audiobook on YouTube and just passively listen to it, just have it on in the background and just, listen to it. It's really short, and for a poetry collection, not sure what I make of it for the first time around, but probably listen to it again at some point. But I rated The Flowers of Evil by Charles Baudelaire a 2.5 stars out of 5. Next I read was The Tarnsman of Gore by John Norman. This wasn't recommended to me for subscriber month. Basically, I won this from Ollie at Criminolly for his Garborgus event that he was doing. Even though I couldn't take part in it because of subscriber month, he was doing a giveaway for a bunch of mystery books that he wrapped up, and he couldn't remember what one was what. So I read it, and it's fantastic. It's a fantasy portal novel where a man gets sucked into this whole world and he becomes a warrior. And yes, the women in this are portrayed in a kind of negative way, but there is one strong female character in this. And it was written in the 60s, so probably a product of its time. So I know that the Gore books are a massive series. There are about 30 books in that series. Not sure if I'll be reading all that series, or it's like a big commitment, even though they're really short. I'll probably read them every now and then. Every now and then on my channel, you'll probably see one of the Gore books popping up. But I'm not in any massive rush to get through that series. But this was really a lot of fun to get through, and I'm really glad that I won it. So I rated this a 3 stars out of 5. And once again, thank you, Ollie, for sending me this. Yes, I know I technically won it, but thank you for doing that giveaway. And I'm glad I won this. And I will be hanging on to this one, even though it's very, very delicate and some of the pages are falling apart. In fact, the last page has actually come loose. Regardless, I'll be holding on to this one. So thank you so much. Next I read was a author request book called The Endless Steps of a Stolen Soul by Martin S. Wathen. This is a horror book about a creature or creatures that are lurking in a forest of a neighbouring town, and whenever an individual encounters them, they become a clean slate. All their features disappear. Their hair, their body hair and their nails, any tattoos, all their facial features basically are wiped clean. They basically look like a shop window dummy or mannequin. And that includes all their bones and internal organs as well. This was a lot of fun. It really was. And this is a debut novel as well. It's always fun to read debut novels and novels by all these unknown authors. So I rated that one a 3 stars out of 5. And the last thing that I read for August wasn't on my radar at all. I came across it quite by chance, as I found the booktuber that did it, or published it rather. Apologies, I can't remember his channel name. His name's Bart, but I'll put his channel on the screen somewhere. And that book is called Shout from a Rooftop. This is a horror book that is based on a true story. To be honest, guys, this was so much fun to read. If you want to read something short, something that you can read in maybe 1 or 2 days during the Halloween period, read this freaking book. It is amazing. It really is. And I'll tell you why. A lot of books that you read are fiction. that something that someone made up in their mind. But this book is set on a true event. Everything in this book actually happened, so to a certain extent, to Bart's mother. It's about a man that invades the home where Bart's mother is, having a sleepover, and it's kind of like Black Christmas, where you have this weird and insane individual in the house, and he's on the attempted killing spree. It's not as gory and bloody as all the other books, but that doesn't matter, because what makes it scary is that this happened and it is based on reality. So highly recommend that you check out Bart's channel and novels. But once again, I cannot praise this book enough. I think it's only on Kindle, but if you got Kindle, I would highly recommend that you go and buy it. So Shot from a Rooftop, I rated that one a 5 stars. So guys, that is what I read, what I didn't read in August. Let me know how you think that I did. I think I did quite well. Yes, I was hard on myself because I wanted to read everything that was on this list, or try to attempt to, or rather. I did my best, and that's all that matters. So yeah, with all that out of the way, all said and done, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.